Hello students, we are back in the class after a long time and I hope that all of you are definitely studying very well and enjoying your days in isolation, no doubt, because solitary is also a bliss. Solitary means being alone, being with yourself. When you get a lot of time to be with yourself, you really explore yourself to the utmost and you find out that what your plus and minus are, isn't it? So, this is the only time to analyze your strength, your weakness, your threat, and the opportunities that you have. Fine. So, this part aside, we start the chapter, The 100 Dresses, in which we find that there is a discrimination faced by a major character of the story, Polish girl Wanda Petronsky. That character, Wanda, who really finds very tough times because she is teased by her classmates, Peggy and one more, Maddie. Peggy and Maddie. So we find in the story the discrimination that she faces, that is just because she is a girl who has immigrated to America and she is the one who does not have a lot of fancy dresses. She is a simpleton. She looks very simple. She is very humble. She is very quiet and so reserved. She does not talk much in the class. Because of that, what happens? Everyone in the class teases her. She is the girl who does not have that grand appearance and she does not have a lot of jazzy possessions also. Because of that, she is teased by her friends and a lot of other classmates also, but majorly by two friends. One is Peggy, other is Maddie. It is Peggy and Maddie who tease her a lot. So we find out that Wanda Petronsky is a Polish girl who we find is a very simple girl and who sits in the class on the last bench. She is the backbencher. Being the backbencher, she finds that all the other students think that she is very dull. She has, you can say, a very dreary appearance also because she is not very fascinating, very appealing, very charming in her appearance. Apart from that, the students in the class think that she has no talent because she lives at a place where the poorest of the poor live. She rarely speaks anything. Only sometimes she speaks, and that too with a kind of a crooked smile. Crooked smile means she does not smile well. It is a crooked means a very twisted smile. So what we find that there's one more character, Peggy. Peggy and Maddie. Peggy is a girl who is very boastful, who thinks that I am the best girl in the school, in the class too. She is always in a kind of an attitude and she bears a stamp in the school of being the best girl in the school. And she also belongs to a affluent and a well-to-do family. She is quite popular in the school too. Because of that, everyone loves her. She has a very tender heart. She is very kind and compassionate. That we find out in the end of the chapter. But initially we find that she shows her attitude a lot and she behaves in a way as if she has superiority complex. So what we find, there is one more character in the story, that is Maddie. Maddie we find is a girl who is one of the best friends of Peggy. But she also belongs to a poor family and she also wears hand-me-down, means old clothes. But she is a very humble girl, but she is not a girl with a lot of attitude or with a lot of courage. She always links herself with Wanda. So we find out of the three, out of the three, Wanda and Maddie are poor. Peggy is affluent, well-to-do, and rich, and she thinks that she is the best in the school. So what we find that both the girls are always taking advantage of the situation. It happens sometimes, na? Like we say, the tallest tree in the forest is cut first. The tallest tree in the tallest and the simplest, which does not have crooked branches, isn't it? The straight tree. So the people who are also very simple, straight, not very crooked, they are also cut by others. Cut by others in the sense they are criticized, they are humiliated. They have to face discrimination in the hands of others. So we find that Maddie is very remorseful at one stage because she ill treats means she abuses Wanda Petronsky. Now I want to start the story from the book. Well, see what the story says. Well, when the chapter starts, we find in the beginning, we are told about the seat of Wanda, where Wanda sits in the class. It was Monday. And Wanda Petronsky was not in her seat. But nobody, not even Peggy and Madeline. Madeline, it is the short name for Maddie. The girls who started all the fun noticed her absence. Nobody noticed her absence on Monday. Sometimes they did not, and sometimes they did. Usually Wanda sat in the seat next. Now come on, children. We will do the questions also side by side. I have already mentioned 4 headings. As you see here, I have mentioned 4 headings of the chapter. And in these 4 headings, it's all written about the first part of the chapter. Further, we find out that Wanda, first of all, Wanda's seat. We get to know where Wanda sat in the class. In the class, Wanda, as I told you, always sat in the last seat. Reason? Because she felt herself very inferior. She was not a confident girl. All the other students in the class teased her also because of that. So coming to the first question, page number 65, which has the answer in the first paragraph, line number 4, that tells us what was the position of Wanda in the class. Where did she sit? She sat in the seat next to the last seat in the last row in the room number 13. This you all know now, right? And she sat in the corner of the room. She sat in one of the corners of the room. Yes. Coming to the next question. Second question, page number 65. I am doing the questions also side by side because as and when the story is explained, we find the content contains the answers also. So here it is. Where does Wanda live and what kind of place do you think it is? Coming to the next paragraph. Wanda sat there because she was very rough and noisy. This I told you about Wanda, that she had a crooked smile, right? After that, we have the third paragraph. With the third paragraph, please write down all of you answer number 2. Okay, in the book itself, please mark the answers. First paragraph of the story has answer 1. Third paragraph of the story has answer 2. What it says? It tells us where Wanda lives. Second line, it starts. She came all the way from Boggins Heights and her feet were usually caked with the dry mud. Caked with dry mud. It means, in fact, there was in fact like a deposition of a layer of dry mud. Reason? The place where Wanda lives and the place from where she comes, that was in fact very dirty, boggy, or it had a lot of muck, M-U-C-K, muck, B-O-G, bog. It means it was a very dirty place and her feet were caked with dry mud done. And apart from that, she sat in the corner of the room. This is what we are told in this paragraph. So majorly you have to remember where does Wanda live, that is given in this. Now, sometimes we find that Peggy and Maddie, both the girls noticed absence of Wanda. Wanda's absence is noticed. Then Wanda's absence noticed. Sometimes the two girls notice that Wanda has not come to school. Why it happened? Now see. Coming to the last two paragraphs, highlight the word Tuesday, highlight the word Wednesday. Why? Because on Tuesday and on Wednesday, we find Peggy and Maddie noticed that Wanda had not come to school. On Monday, they did not notice, isn't it? They did not notice. The first line of the chapter has the weekday Monday. Okay, so on the first page, we study about the 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. What happens on these 3 days? On Monday, Wanda does not come to school. Peggy, Maddie do not notice. Now what happens? We are told about where Wanda lives. After that, we are told about Peggy, that I have already told you. But after that, in the story, what happens? On Tuesday and on Wednesday, when Wanda does not come to school, Peggy and Maddie notice that. Why do they notice? Because they wanted to tease that poor, pathetic girl who was always very quiet, very humble, very introvert, and she did not utter any word in the class. She, in fact, digested whatever humiliation she had to face in the hands of those girls. Now, on Tuesday, Wanda was not in school. Nobody noticed her absence. On Wednesday, again, Peggy and Maddie, who sat down there with other children who got good marks, they noticed that she had not come there. Both the girls, they kept on waiting and waiting. Now I am on page number 65, the very first line. They waited for Wanda. Why they waited for Wanda? As I told you, they wanted to abuse her. They wanted to humiliate her. But the book says to have some fun with her. And that was in fact to make fun only. To mock at her. M-O-C-K, mock. Mock means to ridicule, to mock, to make fun, to tease, to abuse. All are synonyms, right? So they wanted to have some fun with her. So they waited for Wanda Petronsky quite often. Means many days they waited. One day they did not wait now. What was that date? That day it was Monday. So the beginning, the first part of the chapter ends here. Now what we find further, that we will do in the next class. Okay, so that is in fact about the ridiculous names of Wanda and about Wanda. This we will continue in the next class. Now students, what is your work? You have 4 questions on page number 65. On page number 65, you have 4 questions and you have to attempt all those 4 questions in the notebook. Very simple questions they are, and all of you have to design a beautiful dress, okay? In the notebook, you have to design a dress and you have to write the name of the chapter. Write down what is the theme. The theme is the discrimination. There is one more theme also that I will tell you, but here it is the discrimination that is faced by Wanda Petronsky, a Polish girl from Poland who had immigrated to America. She studies in a school where there are other students, no doubt, other students are also there, but other students tease her उसको तंग करते हैं, छेड़ते हैं उसको. They tease her. So you will write about Peggy and Maddie. Where is it given? It is given on the first page where the story starts. Okay. Last paragraph, it tells us about the kind of attitude that Peggy and Maddie had. And you have 3-4 questions, right? 3-4 questions you have on the second page where the story starts. On the second page, all those 4 questions you have to write. Okay, that will serve the purpose for today's work. We will continue with the next part of the story in the next class. I hope now, after the break of few days, you will resume back with full zeal, with full zest, and commit to do your work, because what we think, we are that. We are what we think, no doubt. Okay, so you think that you can do, you will do, with same kind of determination. You have to get down to work. Wish you all the best. Thank you, children.